Joe Biden still deciding whether he's going to run for presidency, and then reporting the vice president, he met with top political advisors into the night last night. And his people, they're setting up interviews for potential staffers. Okay, we're going to do this, is he or isn't he? It seems like the signs are there, Jeannie, that the betting money would say he's going to do it, right?
I guess I've given up on trying to figure out what he's going to do. He's starting to feel a little bit like Mario Cuomo.
He's dragging this out too far, isn't he?
He's dragging it out a long time. And, you know, I have to say, I mean, this guy has been through hell. We all know that. And obviously, saying no would mean he's giving up what has been his profession for his entire life. He can't run. He's 72. He won't run in 2020 or 2024. So, you know, I get that this is a really hard decision. But I've given up on trying to guess. They kept saying 24 hours, 48 hours. Let's remember, he said by Labor Day.
Yeah.
And we're a long way from Labor Day. So I'm not really sure at this point, and I see reasons for him to run, and I see an awful lot of reason for him not to run.
To that end, though, Dom, everything Jeannie said's right. First of all, I think people underestimate, if you keep dragging stuff out, people don't like that, okay? And it's not like there's this huge draft Biden campaign out there going on. We got to get him in. Debate didn't go the way, if you want to be cynical, the way that he'd have wanted, right? Because Hillary did very well for herself by all accounts. I just think if people, those that care most about him, they got to show him that the pathway there is so hard, and he doesn't have the money. He hasn't even gotten, he'd have to really work down every single ballot. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes involved in this. And I don't hear this groundswell, please run, Joe. Right?
I'm trying to think of a term that my grandmother from Augusta, Georgia would use to describe the logic that Mr. Biden is using. Richard, you have a better chance, almost, of being elected president.
No,
than Joe Biden does.
Before Andrew can even shoot you down, no, I don't.
Okay,
but
Richard, I mean, you said cynical, so let's call it what it is. I know some people will go, wow, that's not fair, Dominic, but as political reporters, we basically don't believe almost anything that comes out of a politician's mouth until we can verify it. He's playing the sympathy card. That's all he's got. After the sympathy card about his son, and we all feel bad about what happened to his son.
The other
but
card,
after that's over, then what?
Well, I think the other card might be, Andrew, that if anything, the Obama administration, which most people, Democrats, were running away from up till even 6-7 months ago, if you believe the economic trends and how they're projected to go, it's not a bad brand to associate yourself as a Democrat, at least, going into next summer. To that point, he'd be the closest one, and maybe he's got assurances for the White House, if not an outright endorsement. They'll certainly help him from profile standpoints and everything else. I just am still struggling. Where's the hole he fits?
I didn't hear a lot of the Democrats at the debate last week running away from the Obama record. Most of them embraced Obama pretty strongly, maybe more strongly than we anticipated. So if that's his calling card, that I'm the link to Barack Obama, there are enough viable alternatives to that. If he's going to be a viable candidate in this race, he can only do so through Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders is a fairly decent alternative to Hillary Clinton. So if Hillary stumbles, he would have to fight it out with Bernie Sanders. But if Hillary's not going to fall apart, or she's not going to get dragged down, that means that Biden would have to essentially destroy Hillary Clinton in this race if he's going to have any chance of winning the nomination. Not only do I not think he can do that, I don't think there's the opportunity to do that because too many Democrats know too much about Hillary.
You're right, except you've seen a couple of the little tells that he did in Minnesota last night for that Humphrey dinner, where he was pointing out about what people really said or didn't say in the situation.
That's just his attack. That's his attempt to try to go after Hillary in a very minor way.
Yeah.
I don't think voters are preparing for that. I don't think voters want to hear that. They're prepared to unite behind Hillary Clinton. And there's no opportunity. And by the way, if Hillary does stumble during the primary process, Biden can still get the nomination at the convention. The party elders can get together and switch it to Biden. He's still there as a fallback if need be.
Yeah, I think the same thing, that he could wait out Iowa and New Hampshire. And I think his main path is if the FBI finds something and she somehow implodes. She will not implode before that committee on Thursday. I mean, that is a lost cause.
I don't agree only one thing. I think people like the idea of Sanders, but I think at the end of the day, if Democrats want to win a general, I think they'd go for a Biden, whatever else, without a second thought. But I wonder why he gets in. But okay, now as Biden decides to or not to, one guy decided he's getting out. That's Jim Webb. The former Virginia senator and Navy secretary never really got any traction in this thing, although he was a pretty good punchline on SNL. And his disappointing debate performance sure did not help. 10 minutes. Now, he's reportedly considering a third-party run. Now, rather than talk about the chances of that, and again, I'd say Dominic's got a better chance, that could be the way to go if this guy ever decided to run. Of course, we're talking about Michael Bloomberg. New York Times saying that there is a push for Bloomberg to jump in. Now, many of his Wall Street friends here say that Trump proves what a lot of people close to Bloomberg said were, at least according to the former mayor's non-starters here, that a business guy and one from New York City can actually do well. The paper saying, quote, Trump's enduring position atop the polls has convinced them that there is a path to a presidency for Mr. Bloomberg. The conventional wisdom before Trump's campaign was a billionaire was unelectable, but given Trump's success, Bloomberg's friends say, maybe it's time to revisit the stance. Now, they also go on to say there's a 5% chance, maybe some say even more than that, he'll do it. I'll only say that if you believe in this outsider thing, and I know he's mayor many times over, but it's New York, that doesn't really count. And he's got, and unlike Trump, he's willing to spend his money. And you never have to guess where he really stands. He's pretty transparent or authentic, whether you like it or not. I could make an argument that he certainly would be a fascinating candidate. I don't know if he wins, but I think people would listen.
He'd be a fascinating candidate, but the truth is the reason Donald Trump is running as a Republican and not an independent is an independent, regardless of how much money they have, is not going to make much headway in this country at this point. This is a two-party country.
We keep saying that, though. There's certain point where people get so turned off by the status quo. Why wouldn't they go a third way?
Because they never have. The most we've seen is somebody like a Ross Perot. How long was he running? How much money did he put up?
He was also really weird, though.
He was really weird, but Mike Bloomberg has his issues too. And that said, the reason people say it is because it's true. That we have a two-party system. You cannot, at this point with this system, unless you change it, run as an independent and win successfully.
I don't necessarily, I think you're right, but I believe we're far closer to having an American appetite for a third way than maybe you think they're ready for. But Dom, unlike Perot, a very successful businessman who was quirky and he had his little charts and all the rest, he's run a city 3 terms, okay? And he's proven, if nothing else, to be very competent, okay? Maybe he ain't warm and cuddly. Maybe, he fits the New York stereotype for too much of this country and all the rest. But he's competent and he can get stuff done, and nobody thinks he's a dummy. I don't know. I know you don't think New York plays, outside, the metropolitan area a lot of times. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to spend $1 billion, hypothetically, that goes a long way.
Richard, knowing Mr. Bloomberg well and knowing his team well, what happened in this case, I'm willing to bet my jacket on it. Kevin Cheeky, who's been pushing this story for 8 years, who's a top Bloomberg advisor, called the New York Times and said, hey, Trump is doing a great job. Mike could do the same. No, Mike, you don't have the personality of a Donald Trump, number one. Number two, for all of his money, and let's say he was a very successful mayor. Let's just, for argument's sake, remember he never would have been elected for all of his money, mayor of New York, if Ferrer and Mark Green didn't kill each other.
Okay, but time out.
So he would have never been, for all of his money, Richard,
fair
he would
enough.
have never been
I was there too, but the New York City electorate had a chance 4 years later to say if they want him or not. They kept him. And he rewrote the charter, and he got a third one, okay?
But once you're an incumbent, as you well know, it's almost impossible to lose. Bloomberg has got about that much percentage to run. But for all of his money, he won't be on the ballot, to the professor's point, in every state. It's impossible. Third party goes nowhere.
Okay, let's make this, Andrew, where it's not this late in the game, all right? That it's not late October, okay? What do you think the biggest problem? And don't get into you don't like him for the nanny state, sugar drinks, and all the rest.
No,
let's say you liked him, and we all agreed, highly competent, smartest guy in the room, and would throw $1 billion of his own money. Do you think it's still a non-starter for a third-party candidate to win?
First of all, he wouldn't win either of the regular party's nominations.
Can't even play along.
Second of all, I'm sorry.
No,
you want to come up with a better hypothetical? No, look. As a third-party candidate, Dominic nailed this, and that pains me to say. As a third-party candidate, you're not going to have any of the resources that the party would have, so you need something else. You need the personality. and Michael Bloomberg is a bit of a pill.
You didn't listen to my hypo.
It's been a long time since he's been in office in mayor, and we might have forgotten about that a little bit.
Even personality doesn't trump the system. Our system simply doesn't allow for third-party candidates.
Yep.
It doesn't happen.
Yep.
So you can wish it was, but it's not going to happen.
Because
You have
no
to
one has
change
been
the
willing
system.
to self-finance a
No,
campaign to the
it's
degree
not.
you'd need to.
It's the laws. It's the structure in every single
First of all,
state. It's
if you want
not-
to spend enough
the
money,
way,
you can get on the
That's
ballot.
not true.
Yes, you can get
At-
enough canvassers to go
By the
do
way,
it. Come on.
Michael
James.
Bloomberg-
Richard, not in the way that you're going to make any headway.
Some of the
Yes,
laws
you
are
can get
very
your
arcane.
name.
Michael
Very
Bloomberg
hard to
did
get
not
on.
become Michael Bloomberg by investing $1 billion in cruddy ideas like running for president with no window of opportunity.
Okay,
Fortunately, he's
fair
a
enough.
Johns Hopkins
I'm
graduate,
not
so
saying
he's
he's
smart
going to
enough
run,
not to
okay?
run.
Yes, you and your Johns Hopkins. But the point I'm trying to make, though, is unlike Trump, who talks a good game, how much did he spend on campaigns in New York City?
He was
And how much
spending.
has he spent on the national gun control issues?
Fair
He's
enough.
actually put his
Fair
money where his mouth
Richard,
is.
Who's leading the Republican polls right now?
Donald Trump.
Who's the most competent Republican running for president right now?
We can debate. I'll say Jeb Bush.
But it's clearly not Donald Trump.
I think
so
Dominic
there's
is more
something of a
competent,
gulf
yes.
between competency and leading in the polls. And Bloomberg might be the most competent guy you ever heard of to run for the job. His name might be future president of America at birth. It's not going to work. You have to sell it. You have to sell it before you can.
But the trickier question that I didn't get to, how much does his faith in 2016 in America, how much would that still matter
I think being a New Yorker actually hurts more.
than being Jewish?
I don't know. Fortunately, it's not going to get to that point where we're going to have that part of the debate.
Well, we've learned America's ready to elect a black president. We'll find out if they're ready to elect a woman. I don't think gender's been a big issue, but faith. I remember how big a deal it was for JFK, a Catholic president. Would he take orders from the Vatican? Remember all that?
It would hurt.
Is America ready for a Jewish?
I think so. Look at Mitt Romney. I mean, it was an issue, but it wasn't an issue that kept him from getting a major party
Didn't help him.
nomination. It didn't help him, but it didn't hurt him. And so I think America may be ready. I mean, I'm not certain.
Yeah.
We have to see. But what we're not ready for is to change the structure of our election
I got
system.
it with your third
And you
part.
want
It would
to,
hurt
Richard,
Bloomberg
but you've
more
got
in
to work
states
on
that he's
that.
not going to win anyway. I mean, it would hurt him in deep red states primarily, and he's not going to win those states even if he gets the Republican nomination.
And with that final word, forget I even brought it up. All right, coming up next. If the head of the CIA's computer is not even secure, then whose is? The incredible story of a teenager who likes to smoke pot, who says he hacked into the country's top spy chief.